Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Couch Cat Podcast. I'm your host Ryan, and today I am joined by my longtime best friend Trung. What is up, Trung?
Everything's great. How's everybody doing?
Hey, you in the audience, you better answer his question. No, but but yeah. So before I introduce Trung, I just want to let you guys know this episode is about all of the free-to-play MMORPGs that we played together while growing up. Primarily in middle school when we met each other in sixth grade, but we went through so many games and we just want to talk about that journey and why we played them. But anyway, Trung, can you give us a little intro about yourself?
What can I
Like how do we know each other? Let's start there.
Okay, well, we knew each other from, I think it was 7th grade geography class when we were in the... Crap, I forgot what they're called. But
Hold on. I thought, dude, wasn't it sixth grade though? Like English class? Like, didn't we
no,
have English class together?
no, because you guys sat at a table across from me. 6th grade, I came. No,
Man.
I didn't come to Metalon until midway through 6th grade.
Oh man, none of us remember.
Yeah, like I remember specifically meeting you guys in 7th grade, but not before.
Okay, so go on.
So
So geography,
geography, and then
we I think our mutual friends like Gene and Travis. He was pretty big on like us meeting together, and like Renan and so like all these people we grew up around. They were primarily playing RuneScape, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like our first like online free to play game we started to play.
Yeah, definitely.
So we met through RuneScape, and from there we just kind of we gelled. We did a lot of stuff together, like going to the mall or like just hanging out, sleepovers, what have you. And then you loved playing like JRPG specifically, right? Like,
Yeah.
what was your like favorite game back then?
Well, definitely I grew up with. Well, I saw a friend play Final Fantasy 9, and that's where it started piquing my interest in JRPGs. And then I started playing Final Fantasy 7. And then
Right.
from there, I just started going through the Final Fantasy series.
Right, and like I didn't even know, aside from like Final Fantasy Tactics on the Game Boy Advance, I didn't even really understand JRPGs until Trung came into my life, and just like his mom used to own a laundromat, and we would go over there after while the cats, like he had kittens and they would always attack me. Like on the knee, remember that? And it pierced like my jeans.
Oh, yeah.
But like you would open my eyes to like Final Fantasy and games like it, like anything from Square Enix, really. I remember like Romance Saga and Radio Stories, and we would go to GameStop and see what was on sale at the mall, and anything Japanese-ish like we would grab.
Yeah.
And I mean, you still play Final Fantasy, right? Like especially the MMO.
Yes, I still play. Well, I don't currently play Final Fantasy 14. That is like the biggest, basically my favorite game right now, as it were.
Right. And you're pretty much like you ride the DLC train, right? Like anything that's new, you hop back in.
Yeah, and whenever there's a new DLC, I'll always jump back to it.
And besides Cyberpunk, which we're all playing, I'm pretty sure like everyone who's breathing is playing.
Yeah.
Do you still are you playing any other MMOs?
I don't know if you call Genshin Impact an MMO, or it's more like a gacha game, though.
Right. I mean, that's still pretty popular too.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, I mean, even like PewDiePie, or not PewDiePie, but QtiePie.
Yeah.
I'm a QtiePie from League of Legends and stuff is playing it, but yeah, I'd say it's in the realm, right? I mean, it is multiplayer.
Yeah.
But not to the scale we're used to. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we've known each other since childhood, and we walked down I call this like the free, like if we had biker jackets, it would have like the free to play warriors on the back. Like we walked the journey, dude. Like we were it was like Fallout 3. Like we're walking down that long road with the dog. Like it was us. But yeah, so staying on track, we started with RuneScape, where we played with everyone. That was probably, to this day, RuneScape is probably the one game where I played with the most amount of like real life friends, like all in one, like one game in one setting. that was really cool. And then from there, I mean, I sticked with RuneScape for a long time, like a couple years, but you bounced around, and I gravitated where you were going. I still, we still made time to play together.
Yeah.
And one company that really comes to mind is Nexion. They had what would you say, like the biggest like free to play market going on at that point in time?
Just about, yeah, since they have a variety of games, but the most notable one was Maple Story.
Oh man, Maple Story for sure. That will come in a later episode, Trung, because that pretty much ruled our lives for a bit. Like I remember in school playing it with you, and then like we'd take a break, and then summer vacation would happen, and like remember, like I would see my dad every other weekend,
Yeah.
and I would call you and be like, dude, I'm coming home. Like, 'cause there was no internet at my dad's, and I'm like, dude, I'm starving. Like, let's hit the raids, and let's go all the way. But yeah, we played a crap ton of Maple Story with our third best friend, Gene. Like, we had our own guild, all that stuff. But well, like I said, that'll come in a different episode because that really deserves a highlight. And then for me, I know I was playing Mabinogi. I played that with Ben, who's also a friend of the Couch Cat crew. He's been on the podcast before. It was very anime-esque with the cell shading, which is kind of like popular now. Like back then, it was some people didn't actually like that stuff. Like people didn't like anime, but it had a really tight knit community that died off really quickly. It's still revived by the same community, or survived by the same community. And actually got some attention recently on YouTube a couple months ago with updates. But yeah, I was playing Mabinogi, very free form, choose your own path, level the way you want to level, very crafting centric, and some like a lot of skills like RuneScape, and you leveled them up by doing the action, which I'm a fan of. Like Trung, I love in games where you're rewarded the experience and skill points for like actually doing stuff instead of go here, right click this ore deposit, or go here, click this fishing spot and just go AFK, or like while I'm active, like running or like foraging, I like getting EXP for like foraging, like woodsman stuff, whatever. Like I like getting that's a nice attention to detail.
So you like the more interactive type of games where it's more driven by your choices rather than just really generic gameplay.
Yeah, like because there's games like if you're selling or crafting and stuff, like you're getting the EXP for that, and you could be like a trader. Like say, Albion Online was like probably one of the last biggest MMOs I played, and like you could have like 0 like strength, attack, whatever, like because you're just a trader, or if you're nothing but a peak, player killer, you're the exact opposite. But yeah, I like how your stats reflect your play style.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so from Nexion, dude, we were debating this last night, and we're like, is it Softnix? Like Softnix? Like it's
we don't know.
Soft NYX really grabbed our attention. Like they were coming up. Like they had Gunbound, which I mean, what would you say? It was just like a Worms clone.
It's a Worms clone where you have different assortment of tanks to play, and each tank had its own very different play style from each other, and that made it more unique and fun way of playing a Worms game, basically.
Right, and like they have cool, like a lot of them had cool aesthetics, and then their attack or like their weapon, like their cannon was different, the type of shot and angle needed to be successful with certain armaments. But yeah, no, it was very cool. Like the tanks dictated how you played, and there's a nice variety of tanks. I think some were paid for, right? Like I think it was I think they had that kind of model.
No, at the time they had no pay to win tanks. They only had cosmetics.
It was like aesthetics.
It was only cosmetics.
Yeah. Yeah, like the helmets, right? Like I remember people used to wear like the eagle like the eagle helmet and stuff.
Yeah, like it's the cosmetics gave you increased power and stats, but you could play in lobbies where your cosmetics are just purely cosmetics.
Right. Yes. Back when it was it wasn't like common practice to screw your player base over.
Right.
Kind of like they gave you the option to like support a game you liked. And then I think it was Soft Nicks. I'm not sure, but I know we played a game that was like a Metal Slug clone.
Oh
It was
yeah.
like it was 2D, right? And it was a weapon, not realism, but it was a militaristic, metal sluggish, and it was like a dungeon crawler. And like remember, like there was like the sniper class, the assault class, like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think medic.
I remember that game,
Yeah,
but I don't remember the name at all.
yeah, me either, dude. It's just like lost in time, but we spent some time on that. I think Gunbound was our tried and true. Like we would like after school or on a weekend, like if we wanted just to kill like an hour or two, like me, you, and Gene would hop on and blow some maps up. I remember being so bad at that game. Like I remember always relying on you, like please hit the angle trunks, and like I'm. It's like Worms, or like the battlefield pretty much changes with damage inflicted on it, and like I'm always hanging on by like a thread because you tilt
Yeah.
like when you're moving, and if you run out like energy to move, and I'm just like you could spit on me and I would fly off the map and be gone, and I'm always like Trung, please.
That
uh,
game was definitely fun.
Dude, it was. And then from there, uh, the companies they vary, so not really worth mentioning. But I know another game we spent a long time in was Guns. That's Gun with a Z, capital Z, and it was a third-person action game that focused on sword and gun combat. And I think Trung, did we primarily play that for Gene? Like, wasn't that his game?
I think so. I definitely didn't play all that much of that game, but I definitely remember playing it because I think he was the one that was played it and introduced it to us.
Yeah, I remember him just being like high level, and we would like join. Matchmaking back then was atrocious. Like, I just remember how crazy it was. Like, it was kind of like a copy of the Matrix, almost. Like you could run on walls and stuff and jump off walls. Like there's a lot of double jumping and wall action.
And you flip in the air too and all that jazz.
Yeah, like there was a lot of like closing of gaps, so like a lot of dashes and stuff for the sword use, and then the sword or the gunplay was very mediocre. It was just point and click. But I remember the game. The coolest thing about the game, because you would get cosmetic armor,
Yeah.
and like having like the long trench coats, because like your coat flied
Oh yeah, that was
with
like
you
whatever
when you're on the
were.
wall and stuff. Yeah, dude, it was cool. Like in the lobby, like we all, but there's only like 3 character models, dude. Like I remember, there's like the jacked Asian dude with the long, like the Final Fantasy long hair covering the eye, and there's
Yeah.
like 2 different females. Like it was funny, man. So we played Guns, and then another actual MMORPG that was pretty unique, Fly FF. We played that for a bit. Like I think a whole summer vacation, man.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
You had
and like
the
go.
I think it was the first MMO that introduced flying.
Oh, with the broom.
Yeah.
Like yeah. And so we didn't, just disclaimer, we didn't play like, World of Warcraft or anything because we were so young. So to us, this was like, we've played games with mounts, like what, like Rose Online, like the
Yeah.
the fucking like Jeep or something. But this was like the first to us where you could like fly off the bat. Like everyone could fly off the bat, and it was one of our. We didn't really play a lot of. Well, we did play a lot of 3D MMORPGs, but probably one of the ones we sunk most time in. And every game we played in, like Trung, you created a guild and had us unlock.
Right.
And I don't think Gene. I think like me and you primarily played that. Like Gene played a little bit.
No, Gene played it because I remember specifically power leveling you guys at one point.
Oh my god, dude! Remember like if we wanted to create a new character, like a class, because back then, like free MMOs, like it wasn't like reroll your class at the class vendor, or like the fluidity that's
Yeah.
popular now, where you create your own class. You're like a skill tree that's like 1,000 skills.
Yeah.
It was like you pick, like a Mabel story, right? Like you pick your class, and then that's like your character's binded to that class, or like in FlyFF, like your class is created in the character creation menu, like you pick out of that. So I remember dude, you would come out there, like you were like always a healer, and you would like make sure we didn't die, and we could like take on like 5 mobs or more at a time. Like I remember that.
Yeah, I very much enjoy I enjoyed the healing in that one because I enjoy both supporting and healing, and that they had a class that did both of that.
Yep. And it was like you were always a awesome healer, or if you were feeling like down and dark and dirty, you would revert to your assassin class.
Yeah.
Because you used to play that game with your sister back in the day, and you always had these like assassin stories of like going invisible and ganking people.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember that game, dude. It was popular too.
Night Online.
Maybe
you talk about Night
yeah,
Online.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
back then my computer couldn't run it, so I could never play it.
Oh no, my computers were always garbage too.
Oh my god, what a struggle, dude. But yeah, like you would always power level us in Fly FF, and it was always fun to get the broom for the first time. Like that's when you knew you're like actually in the game, after going through all the tutorial missions.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and where you like open up to the like that town that's like just surrounded by wilderness, and you get your broom and you can do whatever. But yeah, we played a lot of Fly FF, and then I think even before that, like Fairy Tale Online, that like weird. It was an MMO, and it was like I call it like a hybrid. Like it was 2D but top down. Like it had that angle. It's like hard to describe. Do you know any games that are similar like that with the camera view?
I mean, StarCraft has a top down view like that, but it's not an MMO.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, that's close enough. I think we're probably going to get, but it was another fancy. I would say like I don't want to say the graphics were like childish, but
it was very cartoony.
Very cartoony and like dated. I mean, obviously now everything's dated, but back when we were playing it, like it stood out. Like I don't want to say dated, but like it was unique enough. And I just remember like the snails, dude. Like you'd get like a pet.
Yeah.
And like I remember the snail as my pet, like every time. Oh. And I'm just like the snail graphics, dude. They're so I don't know. They're so plushy looking.
I think it's because you answered a questionnaire or like a little quiz that they gave you.
Yeah.
And then you would get a starting monster based on whatever you chose. Since the game was very much an MMORPG Pokemon, basically.
Yep. Yeah, it was it focused very heavily on like pet combat. Not to say you didn't do combat either, but yeah, pet combat. That reminds me, like there's another game we played, man. It was like 8-bit graphics, I think, and it was an MMO that had like a top-down-ish look. And there's like it was like the only game I played Necromancer in. I cannot remember, dude. We played so many games, but it was like that.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah, it was like that, man. It was weird. But yeah, so that was Fairy Tale, and then Survival Project. That was a huge one. That was another summer vacation gone. Like,
I played that for a very long time.
Yeah, you want to talk about what you did with it, like your content and stuff?
So Survival Project was a arcadey style MMORPG where you had like an arcade game would have you choose from a set of characters, and each character does a very, very different play style, and they have elements too, which is what drew me into the game to begin with, because at that age I was very interested in the 4 elements: the fire, water, wind, and earth, and all that stuff. So that's what drew me in. I stuck around because the PvP was really fun. So you would play against other players in an arena using these characters, and they were all very, very different from each other. There was like people that would only be in melee, people that would only use range attacks, and all that stuff. I played it for such a long time that the community actually started recognizing me as one of the higher PvP players for that game. And they would challenge me in 1v1s and like invite me to like arenas and stuff. But that was really cool. There was also, if you didn't enjoy PvP, there were also games like soccer, throwing snowballs at each other, yada yada. But then the one that me and Ryan mostly did, or what Ryan mostly did, was the questing, which is a PvE system where you would go around killing bosses and monsters instead of killing other players.
Yeah, it was fun. You have a select spawn on the map, and then you progress through the map to the boss. Because what were we farming? Like, were we farming components or something? I can't remember. Like, because you get gear.
You did it for the elemental spirits that you can use to upgrade your weapons.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was it. Um, yeah, and the art in that game back then was awesome. Like you can just Google it and see it today.
Yeah,
And I think
it's a dead game now though.
yeah, it's dead, and I think it was alive for a little bit on private servers, and then that got shut down.
I believe so.
But yeah, we played quite a bit. Trung was the leader on that. But yeah, PvP back then, like PvP was hard. Like I couldn't like the how would you? It's like your characters had momentum, right? Like that was a
Yes.
big part of combat. Like if you ran in full sprinting, you could you slide or you can miss your attack or you can run into an attack. So it was very like controlling your momentum.
Yeah,
And like switching between offense and defense.
there was this acceleration and deceleration, and some characters had stats for that, like specific stats for accelerating and being able to decelerate too. So some characters would just slide across the freaking screen if you were way too fast.
Yeah, and then they have like some special game modes that was just like straight up racing and like
yeah, there was like you would race each other, you would snowball fights, soccer,
yep,
just the casual stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. That was like the biggest learning curve for me. I think was just like the momentum and the PvP. But yeah, PvP was fun too. It was a fun game. Yeah. It's a shame like games like that I don't know really exist right now. Because that was a true to its name like arena style. And now that kind of like gets convoluted, right? Like when you think arena, you think of like PUBG or any other big ones like the Call of Duty Warzone or some stuff like you think arena like that. And I mean there was Battle Right too that was kind of similar, like very character, who you chose dictates your fight, your style, the mechanics you play with. But Battle Right like is pretty much dead too. So
also Battle Right's more like a MOBA, whereas this one was like an arcade fighter from like PS1 era and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it did have those graphics. Yeah. And then from there, we bounced around. There was a lot of games that I can't even put a name to. Like, I remember the one that played off of like, cards, like Alice in Wonderland, like the classes, and then like the boss fights were like the enemies were like they represented like the playing cards from that area. I cannot remember, but the main thing of that game was to find a partner and link up. So you had like the partner skills.
Yeah.
I remember playing that with you, and a couple other like we played so many. Like we experienced that freshness of like being level 1 in the tutorial zone and like being surrounded by a bunch of names, crowding around one NPC.
Oh yeah,
I think we experienced that like over 100 times. Like it's like that was always when the games were the funnest, like getting in for the first time before you realize like they're all fetch quests and it's a grind. but
it didn't matter because it was the adventure we had along the way that mattered.
Yeah, well, the friend, like in Kingdom Hearts 2, like Roxas with all his buds before he like realizes he's a faker. But like like that was us, like the blissful like summer antics of like teenagers before Organization 13 comes and smashes your reality. But,
eating some sea salt ice cream.
Oh my god, dude! Oh, with our feet swinging on the ledge.
Yeah.
Oh. And then when Sora comes, then they're like, "Who's Roxas?" And you're like, "Shit, that's me." But yeah, after that, Domo, Dream of Mirror Line was a huge one for me. I don't even know if you played that, but I sunk.
I tried getting into that. It was really weird because it was like super grindy, and I think slowly at that point I just couldn't do grindy games anymore because I started playing Survivor Project where it was arcadey.
Yeah, it wasn't as it was a hard, like those games make it so hard to like feel rewarding, right? So versus like Survival Project, like you got instant gratification.
Yeah.
But yeah, I pretty much played that solo. That's gonna be my standalone episode. Like I had my own guild. Well, eventually I inherited a guild and was a known name, for better or worse in the community. Being a teenager, you do dumb shit online. But yeah, it was another anime cell shaded, fan service. Like every female had like huge tits, and you're just like, God, like why is it like this, And then, just for like, grown adults to like play as them, and that stupid, argument. Oh well, if you're running all day, what do I want to look at? And it's like, well, not shaded like women, but whatever. I'm like over here trying to be like a warrior.
Internet was a mistake.
Yeah, what the fuck? I'm completely addicted, but my mind is still pure. But yeah, I played that for a bit, and that's like pretty much it, man. I mean, we kind of like once high school, near the end of high school, we pretty much left like free to play behind, and I think we linked up. We linked up in Final Fantasy Reborn, like the remake, of 14, and then we did that, and I think we played like wasn't like I got WildStar when it was like $5 or something.
Oh
and
yeah,
I think you played with me. It was dead, dude, because they were trying to go like free to play, right?
Yeah.
And it was dead to rights, and like
it was a good game, but it's unfortunate that it failed doing what it wanted to do.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I liked the classes and the combat.
Oh yeah,
I felt like I was playing Ratchet and Clank, like that's how like it felt.
Yeah, the art style is very Ratchet and Clank style.
Yeah, so it's the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. And then I dabbled in like Elder Scroll, so ESO, Elder Scroll Online. But that was like me going solo. I didn't play that with anyone.
Do you count League of Legends as an MMO? That's the game that you started me on.
Yeah, we played a lot of League of Legends. I don't know if I'd say like MMO. I'd say just MOBA. I mean, because then on the same topic, you could say CS:GO MMO because shit ton of people too. But nah, I'd say that's a MOBA.
Yeah.
But we were playing. We played that consecutively for years. I think
I kept playing for sure.
Yeah, like I still play, and it's still triggering. One like I quit, but then Alan, another host of the podcast, and then Ben were like, come on, and Brandon, like everyone was like, come back on, man. I was like, I don't want to play like 40-minute games anymore. And they're like, come on, it's fun. And then like Brandon quits, Alan barely plays, and me and Ben just grind and break ourselves over it. So it's like I'm getting close to the point where I'm done with that game. But yeah, so that was pretty much like the chapter of our free to play, and as the curtains like drew to a close, we kind of like reflect on like why we played them. And I think our biggest reason really is, I mean, we were young, right? Like we didn't really have like the cash to do World of Warcraft or EverQuest.
Yeah, we weren't gonna, especially me with having an Asian mom and stuff like that. I didn't really want to start asking my mom like, hey, can you pay a monthly subscription for me to play this game? She would be like, what the hell? No.
That's not a chicken. That's a real story, but whatever.
They're not gonna understand inside jokes. Come on.
I cannot. I remember like you're supposed to get internet, right?
Yeah.
And then we're in their backyard with like our mutual friend Andrew, and like and you're like, what'd you say? Like, remember? I remember, but I want you to say it.
I was supposed to get internet that day because I called the internet guys to install internet because I was gonna pay for it, and my mom was like, if you pay for it, you can have whatever internet speed you want. And so I think we left the house that day, because I went to go hang out with you, and I told my mom, I was like, hey, there's a cable guy or something coming over to the house today. Could you make sure that he gets in and installs all that stuff? And she was like, yeah, sure. And then I come back, and I was like, wait, there's no internet here, Mom. And she was like, oh, I went to go buy chicken.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, fuck, come on.
Yeah. And you came back like later that night, and you're just like, or it was the next night, I think, and you were just like, yeah, she wanted a chicken over my internet.
Yeah. She drove like all the way to freaking Tampa to go look at chicken, and then the cable guy never showed up because he couldn't, because nobody was home.
Rest in peace, Mrs. Trungy. That was hilarious. But yeah, so definitely, yeah, your Asian mom wouldn't let that. And my I wasn't going to ask my mom too. Like, I remember doing like RuneScape Premium for a month, and that was like the extent of like me ever paying for an MMO. Like that was a crawl in itself to even get that.
Yeah, I never even dreamed of trying to do the membership thing for RuneScape.
Yeah, dude, I think it was a Visa gift card I got, and I was like, I don't know how to use cards, and like I was like, and so I convinced her to like help me like spend it on a premium membership. But yeah, like I'd say that's a big reason, but also just the accessibility for all of our friends, right? Like, because we tried. I mean, I would say RuneScape was the last like big draw in from the crowd, but like me, you, and Gene were able to bounce around, like with just installing a game and deleting another, right? Like
Yeah.
it was that easy for us.
It was also the reason why I think we became best friends was because the three of us stuck around with each other and just like adventuring to these different games, and eventually we just built a bond with each other, and we just have been basically best friends since.
Yeah, I mean, it made it easy for us to, if we couldn't like meet up. Well, we did though. We would meet up at the mall or at one of our houses, but like in the dead zone, like the dead time, like at night or on a early, weekend morning, like it just helped us connect and like, you know, uh push the weight of school off our shoulders because God, man.
Oh yeah.
And then just like chill and we all downloaded the game last night when we got home from school. We're ready to go through the tutorial zone. And mind you, this is before we even played around with like voice talk, right? Like we were all like it was like /W like
Oh
like
yeah.
embedded in my memory, like whisper, 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 whisper,
Guild
like
chats, party chats, all that stuff.
yeah. Oh my god. And always asking like, where are you? Like, where are you? Let's meet up. Where are you? What world? What zone?
What faction did you pick? What starting zone are you at?
Yeah, and like it was so cool to like we would text, but like just like being online early and then seeing like one of us blip online and we're like, oh yeah, like
It's time to
uh,
play.
yeah, the boys are back in town.
I mean,
Yeah, it was I go on.
I think instead of using voice chats, I think we actually have phone conversations. Like we would have,
Oh yeah.
like we would have, what do they call it? Conference chats, I guess.
Yeah, the old school. Oh, when we call each other.
Yeah, when we would call each other, all three of us would call each other and talk through that
Yeah.
while we are playing. Like that was the voice chat for us back in the day. Was using our phones.
And only on the weekend, right? Because that's when it was free.
Yeah.
Because I think back then we were all like T-Mobile or something, and like that's like we were all able to call each other for free, but like on the weekends we did it safely or whatever, and
Yeah.
we would call each other and be like, yeah, I'm at this part. We're like, where are you?
It was basically the equivalent of people using Discord nowadays, but we used our phones instead.
Yeah, I mean because I don't even think TeamSpeak was around back then, or maybe it was because TeamSpeak was like the World of Warcraft thing, right? Like everyone used.
I think Ventrilo was the one people used a lot.
Oh my god, I remember Ventrilo. Oh man, rest in peace. uh, yeah. So yeah, we would. Oh my god, it was so easy just to play together, and like you said, it just increased our bond. And then we had something to talk about at school. But looking back, like I think we kept like real life, like for the most part, like out of our gaming sessions. Like I think primarily we just focused on the game. Like when I look back on like MapleStory, like all the times we were just like, you could use the chair to like regain like mana.
Yeah.
I remember all the times of just sitting there making like those emote faces.
Oh yeah.
And like I remember like not thinking about anything else in the world. Like nothing else mattered, dude. And like we were just sitting there like shooting the shit.
Yeah, it's basically like hanging out, but instead of doing it
Yeah.
in real life, you just did it in the game.
Yeah. I mean, not to say we didn't. Like I've said before, we hung out in real life. Like don't get serious about it. But yeah, no, those were like isolated moments where nothing really mattered until like one of our parents was like, you need to eat.
Like, get off the computer. Or my sister would yell at me, get off the computer so I can play.
Dude, I remember that, man. She was like your nemesis back then. Like,
Oh,
'cause she was a gamer too. Yeah, she was a gamer.
We grew up like at that age, we literally had arguments every single day without fail.
Oh my god. I remember like me and Gene would just be on the outside, like listening like to you tell us about like all the shit going down. And then like we're at the laundromat and she just like looks at us and like walks away.
Yeah, we're like
the ultimate
disgust.
dismissal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I would look at Gene like, am I a ghost?
Also, please don't hate on my sister. She's really nice now. She as soon as she gave birth, she became a really nice person. But before then, she was like she had to stick up her ass at all times.
Dude, it was funny. It was a funny dynamic, but I just like look back, I was like, now that I think about it, like she was like the only female gamer I knew. Like she was like playing the games, that we would actually play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was something to do, and none of us were really. I don't even think I had Xbox Live back then yet, but like none of us were really playing anything else, um, doing anything else, with besides like homework hour, free time. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to. I will say that's like the merit of free to play, which it's double edged. Like there's something to try like every day or every weekend. You can get your friends together and be like, hey, are we all down to play this one game, Saturday morning or Sunday morning, whatever, or even Friday night. But at the same time, it's like it could be a dud, and then you have to download the next one and the next one and the next one. But it was something cool to like play around and, plan around and skip around doing.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a sense of camaraderie, just experiencing all that stuff together.
Yeah, and there's moments like it's impossible to like really remember, but you get like hints, like the conversations we've had because we were kids, so we said
Yeah.
dumb shit
Oh
to
yeah,
each other, like,
definitely.
like all the all capped LOLs we did,
Yeah.
like the jokes we were spewing and stuff. And obviously a lot of it, like you said, how our bond grew, but like we really didn't hang out with like anyone outside of school besides us, really.
Yeah, it was just our little tight knit group of people, really.
Yeah, like I knew Renal was like kind of close in the neighborhood, but I really didn't hang out, not John Wynn, none of them. Like it was like you and Gene. And I went to like that. Remember Zach, the spiky blonde hair kid?
Yeah.
I went to his like birthday party. Like that was the only time I went to his house, But yeah, like out of all the like the gamer-esque friends, like I would only see you two in real life, or not real life, but outside of school.
Yeah, like I think, yeah, my group of friends. Not to say the people in high school weren't my group of friends, but the people that I hung out with outside of school were just you and Gene. That was it.
Yep. And looking back, I would say most of the free to play stuff was middle school. A little bit of 9th and 10th grade, but
I think around high school we kind of just
we
dropped
fizzed.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, I still play Maple Story with Gene, but that was about it.
Yeah, you did. I remember that. I was mainly doing like consoles or solo games, but we just hung out more. That's all. That's all that changed. We just like we would go like drive to each other's places and hang out more.
Yeah, like don't think of us as actual like freaking basement dwelling nerds. Like we actually went outside and hung out a lot too.
And there's no basements in Florida. Okay, we're below sea level, so get that thought out of your fucking head.
Yeah, like we actually like walked around and like went out to hang out and stuff. Like
yeah, we sweated. Okay, like Florida, like summer or winter in Florida is like 89 degrees. Okay, get over it. But yeah, no, I would say middle school, where you had less freedom to do things, like physically, besides like playing in your like immediate street, or park with supervision. But like yeah, we were able to. I would say it allowed us to develop like our own sense of like time for each other and like our own sense of freedom. Even though I was sitting in like the living room or the bedroom,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like my parting words. I would not change a thing. Like it was fun. A lot of good hours wasted away, especially like the hours for just staying up so late just to like grind stuff out, like the next level, or see what get the next gear. But yeah, I mean, do you have any like what would you say to close this out, Trung?
What would I say?
Yeah, looking back, like on like all that experience, like what would you say about that?
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't change a thing. We had no actual drama when we played games. It was always fun times, no matter what we did. I don't even recall us ever getting into an argument or anything. We've always just been so close. Like it never even thought to cross my mind to like hate you guys for anything because
don't hate me.
like everything we do is just always fun, and it's very humbling just to have friends like these where you can just talk about whatever and always have fun no matter what you do.
Dude, well said. You and Gene are like the only ones I could play. Like looking back, I've never like had beef. Like we just played to play together. So well, nicely said. Well done. I'm
Well,
not
thank
even
you.
going to try to follow that up. Yeah, trademark that. Sell it on a Hallmark card.
Yeah.
You know, pioneer the gamer section in Hallmark.
It's just in time for Christmas cards, you know?
Yeah, like when we play together, there's no drama. I love you. Goodbye. Sincerely yours. But yeah. So that's this episode. We're wrapping it up. Like usual, check us out at www.couchcatgaming.com. Check out our social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are provided in the podcast description and on our website. Check out our Discord. It's growing every day. Well, kind of every day. You know what I'm saying? But it's growing. We want more participants. We need more participants. We stream in there. We do giveaways for certain games. In-game stuff, in-game currency and stuff. But yeah, you'll have a good time if you just want to chill and play with other people or just chat. And also, if you don't check out our website, check us out. Just use the podcast description like usual. But yeah, we've been more active on YouTube as well. Check out our YouTube channel. You'll notice we've been uploading Phasmophobia videos because we're still playing it. It's a fun game. It's an easy game to knock a beer or two back and get spooked because the game stays scary. So yeah, definitely check out our YouTube channel. And that's it. Thanks for listening. See ya.
Later.